The PodAskew Podcast is a proud member of the Big Heads Media Podcast Network. Welcome everybody to the PodAskew Podcast. I am CJ, and with me as always is my hetero life mate Rico. What's up, man?
What's up, dude? What's up, guys?
It's a rough week, dude. I'm still not feeling great. I'm still fighting whatever I had last week. It's just fucking me over.
Well, I'm glad I'm over mine. I feel much better, and I sound much better.
You do. You didn't sound that bad last week. You had the occasional cough, but as a whole, you didn't sound that bad.
Well, I pretty much lost the cough. I thought I was going to have the cough, like, for weeks, but it... You know, I still have the occasional smoker's cough, but...
that's a different monster. But, I mean, but you get a point, though, because the last time you got sick, dude, that cough, whatever cough you had from that illness hung out with you for like a month, if I remember.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. No, I'm doing better. I'm doing much better.
Good. Everyone else is good?
What are we doing today?
What are we doing? Well, what are we doing?
Why am I here, CJ?
Because you love the look of my face.
And that's the end of this episode of PodAskew.
Good night, everybody. No, Henry's long-awaited movie has finally been released. Chasing Leia. We've gotten it. We've seen it. And we're going to be talking to multiple people involved in the movie. So,
Okay.
We have Henry coming along with two of the cast. Joe, which is the J in his world, and the main character, Billy. So they will be joining us to talk about their experience in shooting Chasing Leia.
And I if you want to talk for a couple minutes, I mean, you and I both saw it. We will obviously tell them our opinions to them as well.
Sure.
But just for the two of us, I liked it. I think there's a lot. Obviously, it's a short film, but it doesn't. In my opinion, it doesn't feel like a short film. It feels like the beginning of a movie that I was like, oh, that's it? Where the fuck's the rest of it?
Yeah, I have to agree.
I got a bootleg copy, and I'm like whoever bootlegged it only gave me 30 minutes of a movie.
Or, I mean, not that you and I are very used to getting screeners, but it felt like maybe like a screener copy you would get if you were going to review for, like a...
Sure.
So it's not the full movie, but it's an extended... It's longer than a trailer, but it's not the whole movie kind of thing.
I told him privately I was like, all right, this is your El Mariachi. I need you to Desperado this shit. I need you to re-sequel this fucking thing into a proper full-length feature. He's like, that's the plan. But I overall enjoyed it. I did laugh out loud.
Yeah, there were some pretty funny parts. Which
is kind of rare for me. Not rare, just it's not as common as you think. As much as I love to laugh, I don't laugh out loud at like movies and shit. I'm a very much like inside chuckle type of guy.
I don't know why, but that just made me laugh. I don't know. No, but chuckle? You with an inside chuckle for whatever reason just brought a smile to my face. Okay. No, I get it though. I mean, it definitely okay. Not that I've seen a ton of independent film, but of the independent film I've seen, it's probably the best I've ever seen. And yes, there's a debate of what is independent film, because technically Clerks is independent film, even though Miramax bought it and all that jazz. No, I get that, but I'm talking like,
I would say that it looks like, for a debut, it looks pretty fucking great.
Yeah.
It does not look shoddy in any way. It doesn't look like he doesn't know what he's doing. Henry's got a filmmaker's mind.
Yeah.
He just, And I mean, he definitely took inspiration from Kevin Smith. So, I mean, we're all fans. Anyone who listens to us knows we're fans of Kevin Smith.
Yep.
So we have an appreciation for it. I do like that he went a different direction. When he first told us the title of his movie, I was like, it's going to be exactly the same as Chasing Amy, except there's going to be a chick named Leia. I had no clue what it was about. And after obviously becoming friendly with Henry, we found out more. And ultimately I was impressed. I like it. Like I want him to make a fucking like DVD cover so I can actually, this 30-minute movie that I can put in my collection.
Yeah, no, for sure. And to your point of that, the way it looks though, you said it's not very shoddy, and I agree, but there are a couple areas, and there's an interesting tidbit that I'll share, and we'll get more when we do the crew interview. Mm-hmm. But there were two different DPs on this movie, and you can tell the difference from where one had it and the other person had it. So a
little bit, yeah. They're but it flows well together.
It does. No, absolutely. Yeah.
It's not jarring against each other. They work because ultimately it's Henry saying, I want you to move the camera like this. I want it to look like this.
Right. Well, and that's a discussion I want you and I to have one day, not today because we have other things to do, but you understanding movie making more than I do, I don't fully understand why DPs don't get more credit than they do. Because I feel like they do more of the work than the director a lot of time, at least in the stories that I hear. And I'm not talking about like Henry's level. I'm talking like high level movies.
Spielberg, Scorsese level shit.
Exactly. Spielberg's a good example of that because I watched that documentary on him last year and you and I talked about it when I watched it, but like the DP did a lot of shit. And came up with a lot of the ideas, and Spielberg gets a lot of the credit. Now, I'm not saying he's not a good filmmaker or he doesn't deserve credit, but, So, that could be something we dive deeper into in another day, because you just understand the behind the scenes more. Ultimately, it'd be great to have Maddie for that conversation, but it probably won't happen just because his schedule is so crazy, but,
We'll call that episode Deep in the DP.
Yeah. It sounds a lot dirtier than I know you mean it.
Very dirty, but well, DP already is a dirty term.
Kind of, yeah. So,
but no, it's double penetration.
Oh well, yeah. If you're going from that level, yes. You see, I'm such a movie person, especially at this point from doing this with you for so long, that I hear DP and I immediately think director of photography. I don't.
Well,
yeah.
Well, good. I mean, I'm glad I'm corrupting you less, I guess.
Well, it's not even that. I think it's just because so much about movies is on my forefront of my mind now from what we do that's just where my thoughts go.
You join the dark side.
See, there you go. Good emperor. But that's beside the point. So, well, let's get our guests on and we'll start talking to them.
Yeah, let's get this goddamn good time over with.
Yeah. So our guests are here. Rico, do you want the introductions? Because I'm tired.
Way to fucking throw that at me.
Well, yeah. No, to Henry and to the rest of our guests here, I've been sick for coming up on 2 weeks now, so the fact that I'm sitting upright doing this is pretty good. So, Rico, take it away, buddy.
So I'll give CJ a quick round of applause and thank you for being able to do this. Really appreciate that.
Thank you.
And we'll use that same applause to introduce Henry Wentworth. Do you want your last thing? I mean, it's already there now.
I
don't care. Yeah, it's on the credits. Why not?
All right. So you are the one of the stars and the writer director of this piece of shit. And
stop.
Without question, I'm the writer and director. I am barely a star.
Yeah,
just barely.
It's a cameo at best. I think
at best. I'm also just about the producer. Just about.
Yeah.
How are you just about a producer?
Because basically, the producer would say things to me, and I would say, "Yes, that's a good idea."
So you just talk to yourself and say, "Yeah, I should do this. That's a good idea."
Essentially, yeah. Because all my ideas are great.
So basically, what you're saying is, as a filmmaker, you are not only schizophrenic, you are also bipolar.
Well, I'm also, an outright copyright, because when I say things like, that's a great idea, oftentimes it was Kevin Smith's idea. So, there you go.
Well, hey, all right. Well, at least we're off to an honest start here today. Could we get to the other two people that are on the screen waiting patiently for you?
All right, goddammit, I'm trying. So, you can't have a silent character without having a loudmouth, long-haired character. We have the lovely actress who played Joe. So this is Annie. Hi.
Hello. How's it going?
Very good. Thanks for joining us.
Let me get some Stoochie Boochies from you.
I don't think she heard you, buddy.
Stoochie Boochies?
There you go.
Yeah. She said it more confused than anything, like Stoochie Boochies.
Well, because it's Stoochie Boochies. Oh, this is going to be a train wreck. I can tell. Okay.
And then we have the main character star of this not piece of shit, as I'm going to know.
The one who saved the film.
The one who saved the film, according to Henry.
Debatable.
Debatable. Well, we all saw it. We all liked it. Harry.
Henry. Well, first, Harry, welcome. I will say Harry saved it in front of the camera. I have a vote for who saved it behind the camera. We'll save that. In any event, that said, welcome everybody to PodAskew. I don't know if you've heard the show, but this is unfortunately what we do every week. So, thank you for joining us. But first off, and Rico and I already kind of talked about this before we brought you guys on. Congratulations on pulling off for what's a very indie project, a very well done film. So, all three of you, Rico and I said we both really enjoyed it. And for being an indie project, and you could debate what's indie versus not indie, because I think Clerks is still technically an indie film, even though Miramax released it. This is indie in the true sense of the word, as far as I'm concerned, and you guys all killed it. What's that, Rico?
Thank you so much.
I think indie, the definition of an indie film was anyone paid? No, it's an indie film.
That's
yeah. Does coffee count? I was paid in caffeine. That was my payment to keep me happy and keep me going. It was caffeine. I remember that. Yeah.
And
I saw the movie. You were definitely well paid in caffeine.
Yeah. For real.
Definitely.
And it does not count if you expect to be paid after the fact. That's all I'm saying. Moving on.
Definitely not.
So
let's never bring that shit up again.
So Henry, we've talked to you at length, and the movie has come up a few times over the various spots we've had you on the show. So it's not that we don't want to talk to you specifically, but since our first time talking to both Harry and Annie, I would like to start with them.
Please do.
And with all respect to you, Annie, Harry being the one that carried this film all the way through, I have to ask you, man, like, what was your first thought when you got that script and read what you were going to be doing?
Oh, sorry, Annie, go ahead.
Well, what, me or you?
Well, it was directed at Harry, but ultimately it was going to come to you too, Annie. So go ahead.
Ladies first, Annie, please.
Lesbians first, right?
True.
Well, yeah. So I basically came to mind when Henry was like, who do I know that could play a good drug-dealing lesbian? And I'm not sure whether I, feel good that I came to mind and that I was the person that jumped into the forefront. But yeah, when I was reading it, I just thought it's a lot of fun. Hilariously, people mistake me for a lesbian quite often. So I'm like, why not unleash it on film in pure indie style? So it was, it was a challenge. It was good though. It was great fun.
Look, see, now, I gotta be honest with you. I've watched this movie 3 times, including, literally 20 minutes ago, because I watched it right before we started again, just to, refresh my... Yeah, right, you gotta refresh your memory.
Yeah,
and the character being a lesbian didn't come across to me, so I must have missed something, seriously. I'm not finding problem with it, but it didn't come across to me that was the case. Like, when you said it, Rico, it was the first time that I had even been aware of that, because I don't think you and I have talked about that, Henry, so...
I can explain that to you if you want.
Please.
Right. Well, first off, I think of the first thing I have to say when it comes to Annie, and this is no disrespect to her because she knows this. She wasn't my first choice to play the role.
Right.
So she knows this. It's okay. The first choice to play this role was a very close...
Henry wanted to do it himself. He wanted to be on screen and do it.
Wouldn't that be great? That'd be
Why you grew the hair out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, in all seriousness, the first choice for this film was a very close friend of mine, who I won't name out of respect for her. And she just said to me, listen, I can't do it. I'm very stressed and I just genuinely can't do it. And I understood. I completely understood. I said, it's okay. It doesn't matter. It's fine. We were in a transitional period anyway. So I thought to myself, right, it's not really okay because we're going into production right away. So I've really got to find someone quickly. And I was watching, I remember, and I will never forget this, I was thinking, who can do this role? And Annie, your Karma TV video came up on my feed, and it was the one when you were going around saying, do girls enjoy being spanked?
Oh, yeah. Classic.
Oh, yeah. And I looked at that and I thought, there it is. That's my joke. She's the one.
Wait.
She's got the confidence. She's got the outgoing, just outspoken personality. Just say whatever she wants. That is my joke right there.
I think people want to backtrack to the spanking thing.
Well, I've got to promote her video a little bit because, we're promoting everyone. Go watch her videos. Her Karma TV videos are hysterical. They are and also very helpful.
All I know right now is we're talking about transitioning lesbians, and I don't even know where we're going from there. Like, that's just,
If I could jump in, I did see a couple of the videos, and I gotta say, it was one of the weirdest wanks I've ever had in my life, but it was still...
Oh, Jesus.
That is not beautiful.
It was even weirder because I was sitting...
What it is.
It was even weirder because I was sitting next to my girlfriend, and she's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm researching.
That's what you call it.
Funny research.
Okay, well, so Andy, we got the answer from you. Harry, what about you? What were you thinking when you first got this script and read this, and for your part specifically? Because for as lighthearted as the movie is, and it is, it's a fun movie, and it does deal with a serious subject, which we will get into for certain. But at the same time, it is still very lighthearted. But you carried a very heavy load through this movie. So I'm curious. Yeah, no pun intended. So I'm curious what you thought when you saw what you were dealing with.
So honestly, I was really intimidated by it because it's something I have done before. I've done a drug addict before, but it was for stage, and doing it on stage is very different to doing it on film, especially as this film was spaced out over the course of, I think we were filming for about over 6 months, like a day here, a day there, over 6 months. And so I found it very difficult trying to keep Billy like on the correct path, for lack of a better term. Like I was filming something perhaps in the morning, and then like perhaps in this stage in the morning, 6 a.m. in the morning, we're filming and he's like really OD'd. And then 3 hours later, we're filming and he's absolutely fine. Well, I say fine,
Sure.
At a push, yeah. And so having watched Clerks and Clerks 2, I know how it is lighthearted. There are some fantastic one-liners, and it is a really, really well-written script. And I didn't want the heart of this film to be lost in the subject of drugs, because the heart is there, and I think that comes through. So I felt a big responsibility. I hope I did my best. I hope it's good enough.
Well, first off, I would say it is, for what that's worth coming from a 2-bit podcaster in the colonies, but still, Rico's looking at me like, what the fuck, dude? But
get on us, buddy.
Well, hey, anyway.
It's okay for them to do it, not for you.
Okay. So, after the last week in our government, don't get me started. Anyway, let's get back on subject. So, Harry, you said you played this kind of character before on stage. This is a tough question to ask, so please understand that I don't have a better way to phrase it. So,
Go for it.
Do you have experience yourself with it? Because I know people that have gone through what you were portraying, and you hit it really well. So is it something that you have experienced either yourself or in your life? Because, man, you hit those points the way they needed to be portrayed, you know?
Mm.
Yeah, how much heroin have you done?
So I've not done recreational drugs personally, and certainly not to that effect. But I have had many friends in university, because obviously I don't want to generalize here, but I'm going to. But being in the arts and being, at an arts university, there are many friends of mine who would partake in recreational drugs, and you'd come home one day and you'd find them, for lack of a better term, passed out on the couch kind of thing. And so although I haven't personally had to deal with recreational drugs to that extent, I have had friends very close to me who have had similar experiences of, having an addiction to a certain drug or a certain aspect of that sort of environment, and they've had to overcome it. And I've sort of, with Billy in particular, I tried to imagine what sort of situations he would sort of come across and how he would deal with them differently. Whether it's, having just come out of a sort of a rehab session, the first thing he does when you meet him at the very beginning is he's just come out of a rehab, and how he would be thinking about that. Is he really cut up for this rehab? All those sort of things were playing in his mind, and I tried to think about how my friends or if I was in that situation, would also go through that rigmarole of that roller coaster of emotions kind of thing. Yeah.
Right. No, and like I said, for what it's worth, I've had to deal with that on a very personal level. And so, like you, I've never myself, but it's been close. So yeah. I've seen it, and I've seen it from that third-party perspective. So watching a movie of that same experience, you really did hit the points well. So kudos to you for that alone. You did many other things well in the film, but to portray that in a way that was not only accurate but respectful to people that have been through it, because I think that's what you did that I don't see well in other movies that I've seen that have the same themes.
Thank you.
And you did that very well, man, and you deserve a lot of credit for that.
Thank you very much. That's very, very kind. Extremely kind. Thank you.
And I'm not just saying that because you're on the show. I truly believe
Harry,
that.
So, I think you fucked it up completely. But...
Well, I won't be next week then, will I? Really?
Yeah, but
thank you very much.
Yeah.
It all goes to the top. You're the motherfucker who hired him.
Yeah.
Do you know what? Right when I was thinking about the role of Billy, because I knew that would be a difficult one, because it started off, I was thinking more Tommy would be the lead, and then I realized he's not. He's definitely not. Billy is the lead. And I knew Harry. I've known Harry for, it just turned out today. We've known each other for over 2 years, and I know he can act, because I've seen his show reel. And I was thinking, and can I just say, I never chose anyone else. I never auditioned anyone else or chose anyone else or thought about it. He was my guy. And Harry, in all seriousness, you killed it, man. You really did. You absolutely killed it. That was the hardest role of the script to play, and you smashed it. You really did. Everything DJ just said.
Thank you.
Yes, when you say it like that, yes, he is. And in the same respect, spoiler alert, I plan on working with him an awful lot more. I've got plans.
Are you going to do a version of Jaws where he plays the shark?
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be great? Harry, new script coming soon.
Okay. I don't know how to research for a shark, but I'll figure something out.
Instead of Jaws, just Jays, and it's just a bunch of Jays. Just like...
Yes.
Any
snooch.
Oh dear God.
Brilliant.
That was any woman in the ocean, to be fair. I did have one question, and I think Henry, you can answer me this micro question first. Did did you film it in order, or was it just like okay?
Not at all. It was all over the place.
So that leads me to my question to Harry. Because you're playing a character that is, in its own way, all over the place with drug addiction. Some days he's having good days, some days he's having bad days. Did you have to go through your own gauge-o-meter of like, okay, this is I have to find that level of total drug addiction and depression as well? Or like, did you have a gauge of like, okay, this is a yellow day. This is not so far into a drug addiction. Okay, this is a green day. He's really good. He's got his shit together. Did you have to mentally go through that yourself, or did you and Henry talk about that before each day of filming?
Yeah. So when I first received the scripts, I essentially did what I'd like to think most actors do, which obviously I broke it down. I thought, at what stage in each scene, where is he, kind of thing. If the scene before is him having heart to heart with his best mate Tommy, and the next scene is him in a store saying like, I need to go to the bathroom because he's about to give himself a hit, then clearly something's happened in between that motion of him having the heart to heart with Tommy. He's trying to put himself back up, but perhaps on the way to the sorry, my phone went off. Perhaps on the way to the store, maybe something's triggered in his mind, maybe something's affected him, and so I would break down the scripts and sort of essentially like, okay, here he's not too bad, here he's a little bit worse, here he's like full lost it kind of thing. And also again, like before we'd film each scene, I would talk with Henry and he'd say like, come on Harry, Billy currently is at the lowest of the low. He's in the bathroom, he's about to say fuck it, he's going to have some drugs, and he's content with it, and it isn't until that Emperor Palpatine and Ben Kenobi snap him out of it. But Henry and I would talk about it and break down where he is and how far gone he's become.
Absolutely.
Well, and correct me if I'm wrong, any of you, please, but if I'm right, the whole film takes place over like a 48-hour window, minus the flashbacks. There's a couple of flashbacks but
one day.
It's one day, so 24 hours. I was being liberal because I wasn't 100% sure, but
apart from the scene at the beginning when he flashes back, when he says, I found you with a needle in your arm, I thought you were fucking dead, Bill, and he flashes back, that's a flashback. Other than that, it's all one day.
And then there's the other flashback, if I'm right, Henry, where he like freaks out in like what looks like the break room somewhere. Like he starts like punching walls and slamming the microwave.
That's a full-blown delusion. He's in a world of his own. He's all over the place.
Okay. Because they were both black and white, and I understand your options are limited, Henry, so I'm not giving you a hard time.
Sure,
but because
no, of course not.
But because they were both black and white, it felt like the same like flashback vibe to me, which, for what it's worth, Henry, still plays. Like, even if it is a flashback to a previous moment where he was struggling, that works rather than just being in his own head. Do you know what I'm saying?
I know exactly what you mean. I know exactly. And can I just say, to that point, I watched Harry do that because I knew that was going to be quite a hard scene to do. So it was the first scene that we did when we were in that location, and it took quite a long time to get that right, that scene. But I watched him do it, and I was like, oh wow, that's acting. That's him like actually acting. I was like, oh okay, cool. And he finished doing it, and I was like, and I think you might have said to me, Harry, do you want to go again? And I was like, no, I don't. That was perfect. No, we're not going again. Why would I need to go again after that? I mean, the amazing thing about it was Harry does this thing, which I mean, I watch him do it and it's like, oh wow, this is acting. He's actually like acting here. He did this thing where he was getting himself into character and he would say, can I have a minute? I was like, yeah, sure. And he's like really getting himself in and he's in the role. He's in the moment. And I'm watching him do it. It's like, oh wow, this is all the things that I could never do. This is the talent coming out here. This is him like saving my film. And so he finished doing it, and I was like, forget it. Keep it as it is. That was perfect.
So it's less Affleck and more Damon is really what you're saying.
Yeah.
A good mixture of everyone. Let's put it that way. How's that for you?
Rico, did you have something? Because if not, I can move on to my next thing, but I don't want to...
No, I feel like we're leaving Annie here just to stare at us. So I was going to throw.
Hey, it's a good view, guys. It's a good view. Don't worry about it.
Don't lie. don't lie, because I have a face for radio, and according to one of our guests, a voice for a newspaper. So
mean.
You have a voice for newspaper.
That's what I said.
Oh, it came all garbled up.
Yeah.
You have a face for radio too, and you just shit.
So Annie, obviously your character and obviously Henry's as well is the segue, I think, between areas within the movie, and it plays well, and it allows Henry to homage to one of his biggest influences. So I get the reasoning for the character.
Oh, do you? Thank God for that.
Well, yeah. How familiar were you with Jay prior to doing this? Because obviously you're playing a version of Jay from Jay and Silent Bob. So, how familiar with that character coming into this were you?
So I wasn't, I'll be honest, it's probably sacrilege to say out loud, but I wasn't overly familiar, and maybe as I should have been. So of course when Henry said, I watched Clerks and I got to know the character. And it's very difficult because you obviously want to pay homage to what it is, because that's exactly what Henry wanted to achieve. But then, of course, doing it in a different way that was female was also quite challenging to get a balance of, so you know who it's relating to, but not so unfitting that obviously it wouldn't work in a female trying to do it. So it was interesting for me to try and find that balance of the two. But then I also got to watch, I got educated. There you go. Educated. And I feel like I did wrong beforehand. I've got an education now and good sense of missing out on those aspects of those films, because they're great. It's a great character duo.
Just say it, Annie. I forced you. I forced you to watch those.
You did. You forced me, and I loved it. It was great.
But I would also imagine, Annie, that you want to put your own spin on it, because what you don't want to accomplish is just being a Jay clone in a female body. You wanted to put your own stamp on it, as you should. So that had to be an interesting thing to kind of work through, because I mean, let's be real, Jay the character is not a very dimensional character to run through.
Yeah, I was going to say, he's not as deep as the oceans. He is as shallow as a puddle, apparently working, and it was interesting because you don't want to be, and then of course you want them to still be recognizable.
Right.
But still come across authentic enough that you actually seem like a real person. Because Jay in a character, I mean, is so good. And it's just so believable that you believe that person exists. Like, that is him. And you know that person, whether that person's in your life or there is somebody that you know that's similar to that. And I'm not as, I would say, I'm just going to say, not as stupid as that character. Like some of the stuff, and to try and play it so authentically that it's like an honest amount of stupidity that you're walking around with. It's funny, like when we first did it, when I got cast for it, I did a reading just to make sure that I could do the job. Of course,
I remember this.
Yeah, and we were spitballing loads of ideas. So to keep the character and keep the similarities. I mean, we played off ideas that I was going to be like a really bitchy, posh top. And then when it came to like all the drug dealing, I like switched to be like a weird, like as gangster as you could be, and then switched back to being the regular girl. But obviously the script allowances, and because it is a short film, there wasn't enough time to create that sort of depth convincingly, so we stuck with the one, and hopefully I'm convincingly stupid. I'm not sure,
But see, here's
that.
So it's funny you put it the way you put it, Annie, because like Kevin has talked about in his interviews, and Henry especially, and Rico especially have heard these. He's talked about when Jay's gotten the script, Jay the actor, Jay Muse, has gotten the scripts and said, who would say this? And Kev's turned to him. He's like, you say this. Like, he took the lines from him.
Yeah.
you know,
He's
and
like,
it's
"Snooty booties." Why would I say? He's like, well, I don't know. Why do you say that?
right. It's you know, and so you're taking this character that. Well, you're right. It's not very deep. It's multidimensional and not at the same time, and it's really an interesting character to try to portray because Jay is just being Jay with a little bit of like Kevin sprinkled on it when he's doing the acting. Don't give me that look. Rico's looking at me like what? Go ahead.
I don't know, a little bit of Kevin sprinkled on it. That's incredibly dirty, buddy.
Well, they're incredibly dirty, so it kind of works. But
I see your point. So I would, I'm looking at this as it is obviously a fan film of the View Askew world,
very much.
Or as Henry put it, what did you call it? A blowjob love letter?
A visual blowjob to Kevin Smith.
Delicious.
Suddenly I feel dirtier for having watched it. But anyway.
I know, I feel like I just watched
and you're just all a bunch of cucks for watching it, so yeah.
Yeah.
I'm very disappointed no one snowballed each other in the film.
Oh, God.
Oh, I wanted to. There was a scene in there. Ask me about that a bit later. There was a scene in there.
Let me ask the actress one thing. What is it like? How would you rank Henry as a director and as well as an actor?
And you're allowed to be honest. You're allowed to be honest. We will make sure you get gigs again. We will back you up. So be honest.
You guys are.
Oh, I wouldn't be so sure.
Henry will figure out.
On his line delivery. I mean, he's lacking in the line delivery part, and he's just standing in the background. Like not doing anything. No, it was great because I'd never been involved in something like this. Like I predominantly am a singer at heart. I do acting alongside it in musical theatre, things like that. But normally for me, it is behind a vocalist as my sort of standpoint. So to do straight acting was a really cool thing that I need to do more of. Number 2, number 3, number 4, however you may. But with that. Like Henry supported me all the way through it, like was super great. He told me exactly what he wanted, gave me all the right stuff to look at and take notes from, and we bounced off each other. And yeah, it was a really easy like transition into getting into character and doing it. And just because also I think as well, it's written really well, and as stupid as some of the lines are and how the character has to be portrayed, it's very easy to understand the flow of it. When you're in that zone, the script really flows from one thing to another and you can get where it's going. So it was written really well that once you get there, you're in it and it's, and you roll with it. So it was great. I loved it. I thought it was hilarious.
And Harry, I'll let you answer because I know he wants you to answer that too. But quickly, I will say, I don't know how in depth it is when it says one of your lines is you woke up with an inflatable dildo hanging out of your pants. Like I don't know that's.
It could be a thing. You don't know who this guy knows. Like there's some weird people.
And also, she never finishes the line. You never find out where that dildo's hanging out of. Silent Ben is left hanging on that one.
True. Harry, as you know, that was asked to you too. So please let me get out of your way. So.
Sure. So yeah, working with Henry, we had a few. We didn't have any at all. It was absolutely lovely. No, honestly, because there are some scenes in particular which are, I mean, as Henry said, you want to give yourself some time if you're allowed it. Obviously, some sets you're not allowed it, but Henry was very generous with the time and said, if you want 2 minutes to get yourself to that emotional state, then sure, get yourself to that emotional state. And there are certain scenes which I think it really shows off well. And I hope that we do get to work again in the future together because it was a very, directors, I think they have to get very comfortable with actors very quickly for actors to do their best work. And I did feel comfortable from the second we said go kind of thing. It was very much, hand in hand working together towards one goal, which, I was very pleased to be a part of, and I would happily work with Henry again. Good director. 10 out of 10 would sign again.
Wait a minute, Harry. I have to ask though, if that's how you really felt about the scenes you shot, who directed your sequences? Because that couldn't have been Henry.
It was a joint effort. Effort. It was a little Henry, a little me.
Okay, fair enough.
A little bit of Henry sprinkled. So Henry sprinkled on top, right?
Yeah, yes.
Henry.
Yes.
Down on top of me.
Rico, copyright that, man, because you might be using that again. And I do just want to say, Harry, you have no choice. You signed a multi-picture deal. We've got so much more to do. We're going again. There's no, and this time you might get paid. Like with any luck, we might actually get paid on the next one.
As an advocate,
anything out of it, fantastic.
As an advocate for,
might actually be paid with money.
Yeah.
This time, yeah, you might get lucky.
Well,
it might be a cappuccino instead of just a regular drip.
Yeah, like a fancy coffee. That'll be it. I'll be like, oh yes, and a biscuit on top. Delish.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, there's cream in this one. Yay! I've made it as an actor. There's cream in the coffee. Sugar. Give me my Oscar, why don't you?
Promotion, yes, please. Going up in the world.
See, CJ and I we know Henry in a very different way. We know him as, the guy who calls in, and he's our friend from across the pond. But we also worked with him on a separate project called Batman Alone.
Yep.
And we had to have him he played, did you guys listen to it, or do you know what we're talking about at all?
No, I need to know more.
I didn't cast him in this one.
Well, yes.
Kind of worms now.
What do you mean you didn't cast me? How very dare you?
Do you want to explain, Rico?
Jack Smith right there.
Right?
That was some regal shit. How dare you?
How dare you?
That was like a British Catherine Hepburn. What the fuck?
Living this British stereotype over here. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
When I do it, sounds like a fucking, like a reject of Monty Python. So,
Don't do it. Don't do it.
So Henry wrote a Batman script called Batman Alone.
But if I could jump in real quick just for Annie and Harry, if they were ever to make that movie, would be the most expensive Batman movie ever fucking made. It could never make money because it would cost so much goddamn money to make that even if it made
$500 million to get that made.
Even if it made Endgame money, it might break even. Like, that's how expensive this movie would be.
It's just pure fandom.
In other words, it would make an excellent animated film.
Yes.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
So...
Isn't that what we did? I mean, essentially...
Without animation.
Yeah. So, Henry sent it to me because we were discussing it, and then CJ and I did a commentary of Batman, and I mentioned, dude, I read Henry's Batman script. It's fucking dark. Like, I'm worried about our... And so,
it really is as well.
And because, like, within the first 30 minutes, Jason Todd gets beaten by, to death, and fucking Batgirl gets crippled. Like, you're like, oh, this is a comedy. Oh, awesome. We had the idea of, because Halloween was around the corner, like, why don't we read this as a play for a Halloween special? Instead of us just being like, hey, what horror movie do you like? Do you like Halloween? No? Well, fuck you then.
Right, because that's...
Very short podcast.
Well, and just for you guys, since you don't listen to the show, that's what happened Halloween 2018, because we discussed Halloween. I told him it was the stupidest thing I'd ever seen, and the episode was over. So, yeah.
So every chance I get, I always bring up, like, hey,
yes,
do you like the movie Halloween? All right, good. Tell him he's a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
After a lot of coordination and everything, we recorded this fucking play.
Opus.
And we had to have Henry Batman. So,
I had a I had a lot of lines in that one, Annie, as well.
Yes, you did.
I couldn't play Silent Ben in that one.
So he was not Silent Bat. He was definitely fucking throughout the entire thing, and he was doing like he wasn't going Kevin Conroy. He was going like Reno Romano. He was going like it wasn't as deep as it could have been. I'm listening to. I still think it's an amazing. We all did an amazing job, and I'm very proud of it. But I'm listening to it. I'm like, this is Batman Year One. This is like the gravitas of his voice. This is Batman slightly post puberty.
Yeah, it hasn't completely broken yet. It's like in a mid zone, still trying to get his vibe going.
I'll say this though, having spoken to everybody here for a bit, and Andy, with all respect to you, I think we missed a boat on our Commissioner Gordon with Harry here. I think he would have killed Gordon. I mean, yours was good, Henry, but he could have killed that Gordon, I think.
I wish I told you about him.
Yeah.
By the way, guys, I don't know if I've told you about this yet, but Rebecca is the one who plays Harley Quinn, but among a few others. She plays Batgirl, so yeah, if you haven't listened to it yet, have a listen. It's fantastic. She's fantastic in it. I'll say
she's very good. She's very, very, very good. And because I played the Joker, it was nice to bounce off of her, and
he was barely okay.
Wow.
Everyone's a critic. Everyone's a critic, aren't they?
Yeah.
Oh, Henry, you son of a bitch! I hope you rot in hell.
You're pathetic, and you know it.
Anyway, moving forward, I don't even know where to go now. Jesus Christ. It's gone off the rails yet again. Well, welcome to PodAskew, because this is what happens when we have more than just me and Rico on the show.
Sorry.
All right, so and this is to both of you guys, and to you as well, Henry, honestly, all kidding aside. If you could, obviously, you were constricted by time for reasons and whatever, but if this could have been a full-length feature, so hour and a half, 2 hours, somewhere in that window, what would you like to have accomplished more with your characters? Now, obviously, Annie, yours, and Harry, yours are diametrically different in their base, but that doesn't mean that they're not able to be flushed out in different ways. So I'd love to hear what you would have done if you had more time with the character.
And he would have liked to see more of the strap-on dildo. That's what.
Definitely. I need more. If I haven't convincingly given the lesbian vibe, I definitely feel like I should have achieved more. Maybe I need more women in the scene, so you can see me outrageously flirt with people.
Well, CJ, if I may answer this one first, if you don't mind. This is part one of of 4. Which is going to be a feature-length film. I'm going to do this one day. This was Billy's chapter. This was just Billy's section of the film. Ralphie, Billy, Tommy, and Lauren all get a chapter of a film, which would equal out to about 80 minutes, with Joe and Ben just like floating through, occasionally giving a little bit of advice. So it is going to be a feature at some point. It's just a case of getting the money together to make it a feature. And I assure you, when you say not quite sure you got the vibe of Annie Joe being a lesbian, you will. When you see, because I've got this script fully written and I haven't shown it to anyone yet. Not even Harry has read this yet all the way through. When you read that, you will see what I mean by she's supposed to be gay. You will fully get that vibe. And Annie, I know that you're hyped so much to play that role. I'm literally just.
I am ready and raring to go. I am armed. I'm ready. I'm honing my inner lesbian.
So many
ready.
Annie, the nude scenes that I wrote
She's
for you are just
eager to come
amazing.
out with any excuse for the lesbian to come out, because she's being held under wraps right now, so don't upset mother. But
it will. You wait for the next one, Annie. I swear to God.
Here's the 2 things I'll say to that, Henry, and both of them are complimentary. First off, Annie, to you, like, even if it didn't come across, it wasn't necessary, at least for this chat, to use Henry's words, chapter. You know, like, it didn't take away from the character, and now knowing that that's what she's supposed to be doesn't take away from the character either. Do you know what I mean? So you still accomplished, at least from what I can tell, what Henry needed the character to be, even if that piece of the character wasn't portrayed enough. Now, to that point, Henry, if you're doing this in chapters and you're saying Lauren gets a chapter, there's your window of opportunity, because those two, that's your moment. So,
Oh, let me tell you, that is the one that Annie/Joe features in the most.
okay.
Yeah.
And so what about, but even then, with what you have available, not knowing what these other chapters are, what would you like to do with the character? Where would you like to see the characters go?
Well, again, I mean...
Well, that was for them.
Go
Them.
ahead.
That's for us.
Them.
Okay. Annie, ladies first.
Yeah, silent. Shut the fuck up.
So I think that, especially with Joe and Silent Ben, I mean, it's one of those things that it's such an interesting dynamic and it's such an interesting comedy duo. To be able to showcase that more would be great, just because, especially if you aren't familiar with the originals, then you'll kind of be a bit like, oh, I wonder what this is. Obviously, they'll go and do their homework like any wise person would. But that would be a great thing to kind of establish and make it like a real solid duo that keeps popping up. But of course, with time constraints, there's only so much you can feature, because you don't want to actually pull away from the main story, which of course was Harry's role that was going through it. So you kind of want to, I would have loved to have done that more, because I think the dynamic can work so well as a comedy duo, to keep it light and bright, even though the message is still underlaying, but to have a bit more of that, that would have been wicked.
Until you guys do Joe and Silent Ben reboot.
I wanted to be the first one to make Joe into a woman, but he did get there first, unfortunately.
Yeah. So in regards to what I would like to develop and hone if it was a feature length, one thing I say disappointed very loosely. The one thing I was disappointed with in my performance in just the short was I didn't quite get the, as much as I mentioned earlier that I found it difficult trying to sort of like pinpoint where Billy was in each stage of the filming. I'd want to get that down to a T, especially if we're doing a feature length film, because there's going to be, obviously if it's a feature length film, 2 hours in, he's going to be completely different to where he was like 20 minutes in. And so I'd really want to get that down to a T, because obviously watching this short film, there are moments when perhaps from a regular viewer, they don't notice it. But obviously as an actor, I'm very picky, particularly about my own performance. And I'm thinking to myself, like, oh, that could be slightly better. That could be tuned a little bit. Perhaps he's a little bit too happy there, and given he's just had this scene, he should probably be a bit lower, 5 minutes later kind of thing. And so I'd really want to hone that and get that down to a T if I was going to be like developing this into a feature length film. And hopefully in the future, I will get that opportunity.
Well, you will. And for what that's worth, though, Harry, again, having experience in dealing with what the character deals with, where he is at that moment in what's going to ultimately be a bigger piece, I really do feel like you hit it right, because he would be all over the place. Like, so even if you didn't fine-tune it the way you would like as an actor, and I totally understand what you're saying, because I have something I can back you up with that in a minute, but from a real world experience level, I think you'd hit it spot on, because of how all over it would be that soon in that scenario. To your point, at the latter part of this, when it may be, depending on what Henry's thinking, days or weeks or months later, he's going to be in a different place, and that's where you would want to do it differently. So don't beat yourself up too much on it. I get that you would want to maybe do things differently, because again, I get that. But as a whole, I think you really did hit the essence from a real world perspective, if that's worth anything to you.
Yeah.
So. No,
it absolutely is. Yeah. Thank you very much, CJ. Thank you.
And I get the looking back. Like, I've talked to Rico and Henry about this, going back to the Batman Alone thing, because I was the narrator for the whole thing, as well as the editor. And I know Rico loves it. He's listened to it a couple times. Henry, I don't know how many times you've listened.
I've listened to it a couple.
I can't listen to it again, because I hear so many places where I could have done things better as the editor, not even the narrator, but as the editor, and it pains me to hear it because I'm just that critical of myself. It's not because it's bad per se, but
Yeah,
so I get where you're coming from.
That is how I feel about the film. That is how I feel about Chasing Leia. I will watch this film back, and I said it to you, CJ.
Yeah.
There will never be a bigger fan or a harsher critic of this film than me. Nobody will love or hate this film more than I will.
Well, and that's the way it should be, I think. I mean, personally.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I agree.
I overall loved it. My only complaint is whoever did that Obi-Wan impression towards the end.
I knew this was coming. I knew this was coming.
I don't know who. What was his name? Alec McGinnis.
Yeah.
Alec.
His name was Alec McGregor. Yeah.
Yeah. Where did that shit come from?
I don't know if I've told you this, Harry or Annie, but that was me. Yeah.
No,
I can tell.
Hey, Rico, it's funny because whoever that guy is sounded a lot like the Batman from our Batman Alone. It really sounded like Batman to me. I don't know.
He sounded like Commissioner Gordon, but with an accent.
Yeah, it was odd.
What a talented list piece of shit that guy is.
Jesus Christ. Okay. Moving forward.
Moving swiftly on, yeah.
I am allowed a bitch.
Yeah, I know.
Tell him why, Rico. Go on, tell him why. Have your little moment. Go on.
I think,
okay, I'll explain. So he tells me that he needed me to do an impression of Emperor Palpatine and Obi-Wan Kenobi. I told him, I said, I can't really do a very good Obi-Wan Kenobi. He tells me that I do a very good Emperor Palpatine. I'm thinking at some point he's going to give me a time when I have to do this. He waits till the day before, tells me, hey, I need you and CJ to record those voices because I have to put it in the movie immediately. I'm like, well, fuck, I got to be at work in 30 minutes. Let's see what happens. CJ and I start doing it. I immediately go into Palpatine. CJ's like, whoa, what are you doing? Why are you doing Palpatine? I'm like, because I thought I was fucking Palpatine. He's like, no, you're Obi-Wan. I'm like, when the fuck was I just Obi-Wan? Why would you compliment one impression and then say, no, we're not doing that at all. We're going for the one that you can't do. So I'm trying to fucking do the best, like, don't be afraid. Alec Guinness I can fucking not do. And then we hit him up and it's like 11 o'clock or whatever the fuck for him. And he's like walking outside the streets of fucking London and be like, yeah, I understand your point. This is not very good. Just do the best you can. Go for young everyone. Can you do less Alec Guinness and more Ewan McGregor? Sure, I've never used McGregor, so let's just try out a fucking young Trainspotting era fucking Ewan McGregor. I'll just wing this in about 15 minutes. Let's try this. Turns my Ewan McGregor sounds exactly like Shrek. Because I was trying to emphasize, okay, he's got a bit of a Scottish accent, so all right, okay,
get out my swamp.
He's on.
Brilliant.
So I was like, all right, let's go back to a fucking McGinnis type of thing. So I'm like, no, Billy, these aren't don't be afraid. And then we said all this shit, and then it got to the point where we kept looping it and trying it numerous times. And then you just hear me just say, fuck it, and go, no, don't do this. Billy, no, don't do it. Don't just as an actor, fuck you and your movie, bitch.
I am now there. Can I just say, guys, I am now there listening to this like, oh God, I've asked him to do this, and he's done it. He's given it to me. And now I've got to tell him that it's not going to be used.
On top, Henry.
I was sitting there like, how am I going to tell him this? He's going to go mental. I'll never be on the show again. This is it.
Henry,
This is the end of a friendship.
you have to understand something that I don't think we either of us shared with you, and it's not because we were hiding it. It just never came up. But
Go on.
we, as Rico mentioned, we called you about halfway through the session to find out what was up. We must have done 20 takes prior to calling you and another 15 to 20 after of him just doing the same lines over and over again and progressively getting more and more Shrek. Like, it was... he went from... and I can't remember the actor's name, but Alfred from Batman Returns, or Batman Begins...
Michael Gough.
Yeah, thank you. No, not him.
Michael Caine?
You went from, at one point you were Michael Caine. You went from Michael Caine all the way through to fucking bad Michael Myers. Like, it was terrible. I mean, and
I was doing a Caine.
Well, that's when you were doing your Palpatine before you realized you weren't doing Palpatine, I think, is what happened.
It sounds like Palpatine?
As frustrated as you were at that point, yes. I've heard your Palpatine in other moments, and it's not. But at that moment, it did, yeah.
All right, well, and then so when he tells me, I was also bad movie because CJ was like, hey, man, I gotta fucking tell you, your Alec Guinness sucks. And I'm like, oh, that's what I want to hear.
Who better to tell you than me? I mean, come on.
He is your hetero life, mate. Come on.
Not anymore. We broke up after that. Thanks, Henry.
Oh,
no,
you split up PodAskew.
You dumped me like 6 times over the course of this show. So it's, can we get back on track? Because I really kind of feel bad for Annie and Harry at this point, just hearing this like squabble.
Are you kidding me? This is more fun. They get to see.
This is podcast gold. This is where you're going to reform together.
You get to see a podcast die,
times, and you're coming back together. This is it.
No, well, the beauty of it though is Rico and I are fine. Like this, we'll do this again. But yeah,
no, I'm Italian. This is how I talk.
Yes, he tell him what you use. You know how they say people have resting bitch face. He has resting bitch voice. So and he'll be the first to tell you that. That's not me giving him shit. He'll be the first to tell you that.
There are many, many, many times where CJ, when we're done recording, will text me and say, are we good? And I'm like...
are we okay?
Yeah, because there's been episodes where we've signed off and I'm like, okay.
He's like, for street. I'm like, and?
Yeah, so, but I'm gonna try.
Want me to communicate?
I'm gonna try to put the wheels back on this thing if I can.
Yeah, please go ahead.
So, and this is specifically directed at Annie and Harry. And Harry, to your point from earlier, we'll let Annie go first since ladies first. But what else are you currently working on? What do you have set up for the future that besides potentially working with Henry again? What do you got happening?
Your shit.
Oh God, my life is a red hot mess. I've got everything going on. So like I said, I am a singer predominantly. So I do have a singing gig that I do, that it takes up most of my time. But also, I'm not sure if I've told the other guys this, so this is new news. So I'm training to be a specialist performer, so to do like stage combat and screen fighting and stuff like that.
Oh, awesome!
Yeah,
I might rewrite the script now you've said that.
Yeah, I'm taking up. I've gone a little bit crazy. I'm taking up jiu-jitsu. I'm doing fighting courses. So, I just want to be a badass. That is my other life goal, to be
a
badass, Annie. And a badass. Yeah. That's it. And Henry is facilitating one, and then I can facilitate the other. And just be.
I just have to. Go ahead, Ed. Go ahead, buddy.
You know that now Henry's thinking of a sword fight with Joe with like a giant strap-on dildo.
Oh yeah, let's get.
I wasn't. Now you put that idea in my head. I'm going to write that down.
I'm not sure if I can find any training lessons for that specific weapon, but I will attempt to do my best.
So I just have to ask, because we joke with Henry all the time about this, that you guys probably know the old saying that two countries separated by a common language. So term you used, is that basically the British term for a stunt person? And I mean that with the utmost respect, 'cause I'm trying to understand.
No, yes. So basically, I'm not sure how it is in America, but to be a stunt person, you have to go through the stunt register and do loads of things. And basically, to be a stunt person, as you're probably well aware, you pretty much have to be a superhero in real life, because the amount of stuff you have to do. And then basically, a specialist performer is like anything in the middle. So it's like, you're not qualified to be on the stunt register, so you can't be like thrown off buildings and hit by cars and all that crazy life-threatening stuff. But all like the scenes where there's like fights and you have to dive out of the way of like easy stunts, I'd say, like very easy stunts. So you're one step up from like just a regular extra that's in the background. You're in between the two. So you do specialist elements, but not necessarily a fully fledged stunt performer.
Sure.
You want to be that guy in the background of Dark Knight Rises who just rolls out of the way when Batman and Catwoman are fighting.
Yeah, exactly.
Random dude who just like, he does this and then just falls over when no one touched him.
Okay, so
yeah,
is that all is that it, or do you have more you want to tell us about?
No, that is as entertaining as it gets.
Okay, fair enough. Harry, what about yourself?
I pale in comparison to Annie.
Well,
in comparison.
It's not about comparison. It's just
That's what actors do. Unfortunately, we always compare ourselves to others.
Yeah.
But anywho, carrying on. Basically, so I'm doing a short film with the University of Westminster, because I recently have been doing a lot of work with them. And I've been helping out their second year students because they are obviously they're directors and they need actors to direct. And so I've been working with them recently, and I'll be doing more of it in the new year. But honestly, apart from like currently I'm working as an elf, that's always good fun. And then next year I'm doing some hosting some parties for kids and stuff. But that's the biggest thing that I could probably like publicly put out there is the short films from the University of Westminster, and then anything that Henry might have in the works.
Oh, I got something.
Well, hopefully he's going to pay you this time, so that will be a benefit to you. But
keep your hopes low, Harry.
Keep your hopes.
Realistic expectations.
Yeah.
So you're loving that elf life, loving the elf life. Like, why would you need to get paid when you've got that going on? Living it.
Right. Yeah.
It is the grind of performers, because I always think it's really funny that there's like a gap, that you've got the people who are busting at the bottom making stuff like this and where all the creativity is, but it's so difficult. And then when you make it, you're fine. But the amount of like literally things that you have to put in, like being an elf at Christmas, and I do loads of sort of like promotional work. So I'll be like in the streets trying to get people to eat cheese, and they don't want cheese, but you try and make them eat cheese anyway.
Yeah.
It's like, it's a hard time, man. It's not as, lavish as one would wish, but it's good.
It can't all be just strangers smacking your ass, Annie, basically.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I don't know whether I should probably pull back to the point that obviously we were talking about me getting spanked in the street. That's not like a average day of mine. I do,
don't lie.
As fun as that would be. No, so I also do host for a YouTube channel. Like you said, you watch some videos all about dating and stuff. So some of the questions, I'm quite out there. I'm super confident, and they're like, "Oh, here's a challenge, do it." So yeah, I do get like spanked in the street, and I'll talk about dicks and vagina and all of this stuff.
Oh my god!
That also, I know all of that. It's fun. Yeah.
And now you know why I cast her as Jo.
So funny.
Well, on that note, I think we're ready to wrap it up, guys. Unless there's any final thoughts.
on dicks and vagina, yeah, I think that's where we should leave it. Let's just go.
I think so. That's a really good point to leave it on.
Well, at least for the cast, we have the crew coming up next. But thank you to Annie and Harry, and honestly, and Harry, maybe this is something we should talk about off air. But I noticed your sweatshirt there with the Nintendo logo. I don't know what culture it is compared to where you guys are, but you should get on that channel. I'm telling you right now. So that's just my opinion. So anyway. Thanks, guys, for coming on, and we'll Henry, we'll talk to you someday. I don't know.
Whether we like it or not.
Yeah, you're so. But Annie, Harry, thanks for joining us, and
Hey, thanks for having us.
And we'll love to have you back.
Sorry, there was just one more thing I wanted to say, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Christ.
Sure.
No, don't worry, Harry, because it does concern your girlfriend.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's put this on.
Don't worry.
Go ahead.
Don't worry, there was something good. Remember you said earlier, Rico, about snowballing?
Oh, yeah. That sounds really good. Saying my girlfriend, and I said, "Oh yeah."
Yeah, I'm going to say like I am definitely in on this conversation. Let's go.
Okay, so this involves Harry's girlfriend. So Harry's girlfriend is the one who plays Holly is the one who plays Lauren, obviously in the film, right? And there was a scene which I really wanted to put in there, which I unfortunately couldn't, where she's on Skype to her mother, because in the original script, she's from America. Her mum is from America. And she says to her, "Oh, I'm sorry, I gotta go. I gotta go. Billy's just come in." And then her mother says, "Remember, if Ralphie tells you to snowball him, don't do it. You'll regret it forever." And I wanted that woman to be played by Marilyn Gigliotti. And I asked her.
You asked her to do that?
I didn't ask her specifically to do that. I asked her, would you be in the film? I didn't tell her exactly what the role was. But what I said was, is there any way I could do it? And she just said, "I'm sorry, with the union and everything, I really can't do it." And I understood that completely. But that is, and you know, that was, I can now reveal, that was the role that I wanted her to do. But yeah, that was where snowballing came in.
Union rules require they get paid not just in fucking coffee, buddy. They need. Like,
that was my problem. Yeah, unfortunately.
I mean, even if you said, "I'll put the cream in your coffee," she's like, "No."
Guys.
I hope Marilyn never listens to this episode now.
Me too.
Right. On a happy fucking note, thanks for coming.
Thanks for coming, Harry and Annie.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye, guys. Thank you very much.
Take care.
Okay, so now that we've talked to the cast, Henry, we have to bring in your crew, because I think it would be unfair to only talk to half the production here. I mean, obviously you're the linchpin or the link between the two sides of the film here.
I guess just about, yes.
So what I wanted to do is bring in, we got your director of photography and our friend Rebecca, and then also we have your editor Ben with us, which is going to throw me off because I keep thinking Silent Ben and it was Silent Bill. I don't know. I'm going to get all jacked up. But anyway, that's a whole nother thing. So, where do I want to start with this? So, I you know, as I said earlier today, I watched the movie before we started this, so I wanted to refresh my memory. And I guess I'll start with, because Rebecca, if you remember, you had become close with the show before the movie came out. So,
yeah.
I got the luxury of reaching out to you as watching it the very first time and going, "Hey, wait a minute, what's this and what's that and this, that, and the third." So, and Henry, I'd like you to fill in the story though, because as I understand it, you ended up going through 2 directors of photography during the process.
That's absolutely right. Yes.
So fill us in on if you can, why? Because I certainly don't want anyone talking.
No,
but I don't want to talk shit on anybody. But
we're very open with the story. What happened was, well, first off, my very first director of photography just dropped out on the day. So I'm like,
because Henry wouldn't do things with him for sexual favors.
Well, basically, I stand by
that.
Wait, but Rebecca, that implies that's how you got the job.
Well, we'll get to it.
Anyways, who got the job?
This is how everybody got their job.
What happened in the past happened in the state in the past. But no, what happened?
How much is that in pounds?
Okay, so
as you were, buddy. Go ahead.
As I were, my best friend in all the world, Sophie, her little brother Kieran, who I've known for a few years now, stepped up to the mark. I asked him, he's a younger guy. I asked him if he'd step up and be our DP, and he did. And the first day of filming was all him. Everything basically in the comic shop is him, with a couple of pickups here and there. But that was all him. But the next day, which was the big one, which was everything which was outside, near enough every exterior shot, And all the shots in the back room when they're talking was Rebecca, because Kieran just couldn't do that day of shooting. So I said to her, no disrespect to you. It wasn't like you're a fill-in here, which technically you were, but still, I just had to say, can you please help us out?
So
she said yes and stepped up, and I would say probably about half, maybe a little bit more, is her basically in the film.
Right, but
yeah, it is.
Okay, and Rebecca, please correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm definitely kind of speaking for you, but it's based on the conversation you and I had where you said that point of view sale where Henry, your character is selling the weed to the random person, and if you read this, the credits ultimately is the first DP. He shot that part, but you did all the rest of the outsides. Am I correct? Of that sequence, correct or no?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it would have been.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Because I think it was literally just the bit where the first comic book shop, and I'm thinking there was like at least one outdoor bit. Yeah, the bit where you and Annie are. It is that bit, isn't it, where you're exchanging?
Yeah, when me and Annie are outside, when Joe and Ben are outside dealing, and then Tommy steps up to them and has a go at them. Yeah.
Yeah, like those were the only bits that I didn't do.
Okay. Which, by the way, for the bits outside, Henry, just to use your parlance, I made Rico. There you go.
I just keep thinking a bit of Fry and Laurie. I just keep thinking that way.
The well-placed PodAskew stickers right between you and Joe were very much appreciated. I mean, were referenced throughout the thing between Ralphie and Nat, but
that's
you know,
right, yes.
I think the only, and I'm going to use the word complaint as loosely as humanly possible, is that there should be because there's a whole bunch of stickers on the wall in the back room of the comic book shop where they're playing video games. And it would have been cool to have
that was in a
there.
workplace. I couldn't
that
put
was
one up there.
Yeah, couldn't put anything up there.
Ah,
I think they would have noticed.
We had to leave that as it was.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
fair enough. But anyway, that's it. And then so you did like the flashbacks and stuff, Rebecca. Is that correct?
Yep.
Yeah, that was so much fun.
That was fantastic.
The black and white use to reference so I had to ask you, Enrico, please jump in if you have questions, but like I had a list here that I'm kind of going through. But
you do you, buddy.
All right.
You do you, boo.
Yeah. the black and white from. See, there's two sequences that are in black and white. One where it looks like it's clearly a flashback. Mm-hmm. And then another one where it's almost like Ralphie. No, not Ralphie. Ralphie's Billy. Thank you. Billy's trapped in his own head.
Exactly.
And I didn't get that till I went through the second viewing.
So I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think of the exact sequence, but obviously the filming of that was probably, when you think about it, Beck, that probably took the longest. That sequence when we were in the back room, just with him going mad in the throwing action figures about throwing himself up against the wall.
Yeah,
that probably took the longest to do. And he really got into it as well. Yeah, he really was in the moment there. That was it's quite hard to watch some of it in many ways, but that was brilliant to do. And to see the way, Ben, you edited that, I watched it and it was like above and beyond. Genuinely, just I was sitting there like it was edited. I was watching that sequence, just like where is the fuck up coming? Like where's the mistake going to come in? And it just kept going. I was just like, this is brilliant. That could have been the film. That one sequence could have been the entire film.
Well, and to bring Ben in on the conversation, I agree. The cuts there were really well done in that it didn't feel like cuts. Like it felt like it was shifting the way it was supposed to shift without feeling chunky or choppy or anything like that. It was very smooth for the amount of transitional cuts that had to take place to convey what I think, Henry, you were trying to convey during that sequence.
Yep.
Ben, you did an outstanding job making that work. So,
I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
No, yeah, of course. Listen, I got to go right to Ben because there's a question I've been dying to ask an editor in general forever now, and Rico knows about this because we have this debate off and on several times now. What is it like as an editor to try to work with this material? And what I mean by that is not that the material's bad, but that Henry wrote and directed this, and he's placing it in your hands. Like, Rico and I talk about, we've been approached by editors to edit episodes of PodAskew, and I've said no, because I feel like we'd lose our voice if someone else edited our material. So, I guess this kind of goes to both you and Henry, but like, how do you work that dynamic without sacrificing Henry's voice, but getting to put your stamp on the project?
I'll let Ben go first because I cannot wait to hear what he's got to say about this. Go on, mate.
Well, whenever you do a little bit of editing, whether it's a big project or a small one, you have to really just take it bit by bit. So for this film, for example, I wasn't looking at it as a story as a whole, because knowing Henry for years, there's no way I'm going to make a change and he's going to go, what the fuck was that? Change it back. He's going to argue with me every point I do it. But if I do it piece by piece, scene by scene, and explain it in the right way, you go, all right, fair enough.
That's a really good impression.
That was a really good impression.
I acknowledge what I can do and what I can't do. And unfortunately, editing is just not something I can do. And he's right in what he's saying. I think of everyone involved in that film, Ben, I think I've known you for the longest. I think
7 years, something like that.
It must be. Yeah, it must be since we were at college. I went for one day, but I literally met you.
And he was a great student.
I literally met you on that one day. Yeah, that was all I was there for one day.
Imagine this for a second. This is Henry pre-beard. This is pre that. He was obsessed with Christopher Nolan at that time, not
That's
Kevin
right.
Smith.
We both were. We bonded on the Dark Knight trilogy, didn't we?
We fucking did.
So Henry, ultimately, ultimately, you aimed down. Then you went from Nolan to Smith. You kind of went down. You aimed down.
I looked at that film and thought, that's a masterpiece, but that is completely unachievable. And then I watched Clerks and I thought, that's achievable.
Yes.
I can do that. I can easily do that.
Is that a diss? That sounds like a bad thing. It's like, hey, this is the best director on Earth.
I love those
I
films.
could be him.
No, because Kevin would say something like that.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, you've met him, so you'd know.
I've met him a couple of times, yeah. But anyways, going on what you were saying about the final cut and the getting the vision out there. Like I said, it's just something that I can't do. I don't know how to edit. I have no idea how to do anything like that. And as I say, Ben knows me well enough now, and we've worked together on scripts. He's read my work. I've read some of his work. I've seen some of the stuff he's put out, which some of it is outstanding. Some of the stuff that I've seen him do. And I just knew that he could do it. I knew straight away when I was writing the script, I knew he was going to be the editor. He was my very, very, very first choice ever to play Joe. When Joe was going to be a boy.
Oh, really? Okay.
He just point blank said no.
There's a reason why I'm an editor. I belong behind the camera, man.
Yeah.
I do not belong in
That's
front
why
of
we
it.
do a
Ever.
podcast. We should not be on camera. So,
Speak for yourself, bitch. I'd love to.
Yeah, but Ben's good looking.
Okay, well, that's kind of my point.
Not in front of your girlfriend, Henry. Come on.
Wait, did he just fucking insult me?
Yes.
Well, it was kind of an insult at everyone, but it was an equal
insult. Oh, put the headset back on. Come on. Jesus.
Don't worry, Rico. Henry's only jealous that we're prettier than him, okay? He has to, try and exert his dominance.
Yeah.
Except, what is that? That sounds like a sexual move. We're just talking about films here. What's going on?
Ben, leave the past where it is. We've discussed this already, mate.
I can't. It was such a good magical night.
Henry, I gotta tell you, as a director, you have a fucking big ass ego now, don't you know?
Yeah.
He was born with a big ass ego. No, genuinely.
I've always been like this.
Getting back to my question, so obviously you've known Henry for years, and that's fine, but that definitely makes the dynamic different when you're trying to edit his work versus let's say something I shot, or some director you just started working with. Like, how do you still get to that point of not taking away from what the director's trying to accomplish? Like, how, not that I don't know if I'm getting my point across. Rico, help me out here, because I think you know what I'm trying to say, but...
Well, look, because we know Henry's got a huge fucking giant ego. How do you challenge against that and have your own voice? You know, you want to do what he wants to do, but you also want to be original at the same time. So how do you clash? Yeah. How do you clash with this fucking British Pratt?
Because Ben's got talent and I haven't. That's why.
All right.
Hang on.
That is literally how.
You guys heard it here.
Let me talk to myself. I will slap you. I'll come over there, Henry, and I will slap you. Okay. What was I going to say? Don't wink at me. Anyway, sorry. I think the challenge with Henry is, like, the main reason why we work so well is we're both big egos as well. It's we have to be right. And but at the end of the day, the art comes first. So it doesn't matter how much ego comes into it. If there's a meaningful way, a look, or holding on a shot for a couple more frames because it's more meaningful. This is a guy that genuinely, when we first finished it, he cried. Do you know what I mean? That's what I look for. Right. That's what I want when I'm doing a project like that. You want a reaction.
Was there ever a period of contention where you really stuck to your guns and say, look, Henry, I got to say, we got to go with this. And Henry was like, no, fuck you. I'm the director. I know what's fucking best. And then you guys kiss and made up. Any background drama?
What? Wait, when did they have time with all this dick sucking that seems to be going on? Jesus Christ, the two of them.
That's what I mean by kissing. They just blew each other.
Shit.
It's probably whenever I wanted to cut a line.
Yeah, basically.
If basically he wanted his film to be like the Martin Scorsese of his own film. He wanted it to be as long as possible with the longest takes, and he didn't understand breath. And bear in mind, the most annoying thing I found with Henry is when he was doing his shooting as a director. So, like, if you do a line, okay, so Henry, you're going to talk to him. You're going to say, "Hi Ben, how's it going?"
Hi Ben, how's it going?
No, wait, and action.
Hi Ben.
Cut. There's no breath.
Yeah, because they're done. In my head, I don't need any more.
And there's nothing worse than them being told, "Oh, it's not a dialogue scene. It doesn't need sound." Everything has sound. You idiot.
Yeah.
Give me sound. I have to make it otherwise.
Oh, I remember that, yeah.
So Ben, does that mean... I mean
by the editing process, it was a nightmare. He was ready to kill me at some points. I was just quietly sitting there like...
Having done Batman alone with you, I can agree to that. But that's, Yeah,
I find it interesting that you want to make a fucking long as fuck movie, but when I asked for a monologue, you gave me a bunch of shit.
That monologue was a masterpiece. And I won't hear anything different.
But I requested that motherfucking monologue. You're like, no, the word's the word. It's going to be how it is. And I'm like, no, the Joker needs to have a fucking monologue. And you're like, yeah, all right. And then you gave me shit the entire fucking time. Like, because Rico needs a fucking monologue. Like,
well, I was more commenting on your ego ever since, you've become obsessed with Mark Hamill and all that. So
wait. I've been obsessed with Mark Hamill since I was 1. That's not the point. You gave me the role as the Joker because I can be the only one who could do a good Mark Hamill impression.
Well, that's very can I hear this? Just a line. Just give me a line.
But I need my Harley Quinn to give me a feedback.
This will be good.
Oh, okay. Wait, I don't know. Okay, wait. Okay, yeah.
When you're ready,
just say hi.
Okay.
Are you having an anxiety attack? Calm down. I'm just asking you.
Yeah.
All right, just give me the hello pudding.
Hey, Puddin'.
Oh, hello, Holly. How are you today? Are we ready to go and kill the fucking bat?
There you go.
That's all I have to do. That's it. Well done.
Wait, I have to ask, is that the slow clap of what the fuck was that, or was that a legit clap? Because it kind of came across like the slow clap.
This is like the biggest compliment I think a Brit can do is a slow clap. That is like the creme de la creme.
In America, it's like a really like ironic, like good for you.
Yeah.
Good job. Good job.
Exactly.
As I recall, Ben, that was a lot of our editing process was us doing Joker impressions back at one another. And I remember you saying to me, "You'd be fine in a cave on your own, wouldn't you?" And I was like, "Yeah, I would. I wouldn't go insane." I remember you saying that to me.
Oh dear.
You are insane.
Henry does a good Heath Ledger. I'll give him that. He does a really good Heath Ledger.
That's true. Yeah, I was around him when he wouldn't stop bloody doing it, though. It's fun the first time, not the 10 million.
Right. Yeah, that's
I know
right.
how I got these scars. My father was a drinker.
Hi, Rebecca. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah. So, can we get back to the movie? Maybe.
All right, enough of this Joker bullshit. Let's go back to this fucking shit.
Back to this piece of shit.
Yeah, right. And this piece of shit.
Who's the director and the other crew of this piece of shit?
Yeah. So I guess I kind of have a similar question for you, Rebecca, that I had for Ben, and that is how do you
handle Henry?
Well, yes, but more broad.
With a lot of alcohol.
I could see
I
that.
bought a lot of alcohol, if you remember.
But don't you guys fucking drink all the time anyway? So, like, how can you tell when you're stressed and when you're just having fun?
When you're in the pub.
Because you get special alcohol or you get, sad alcohol. That's the kind of the difference, really.
When you're drinking with shame. That's what it is.
You only drink with shame.
Well, how long was the shoot? That's how much shame there was.
Too long. Far too long.
Well, I mean, to be fair, in the grand scheme of things, like, you're not that bad to work with, to be fair. I mean, there was times where I was just kind of like, Henry, why are we doing, like, Henry, what are we doing? Or you just kind of be like, okay, Becca, let's do this. And I'm like, but wait, what do you mean let's do this? Like, what do you want from this? you had like a million thoughts a minute, and I was like, oh, okay, let's go here then.
I do remember my directing style being somewhat similar to someone like Lucas, because I remember once genuinely saying to you, the way that I wrote it down, you need to shoot it like that. and you remember you saying to me, yeah, but, okay, tell me what that looks like then. And I was like, yeah, you'll figure it out. And
I think it was a lot of you'll figure it out.
Okay, wait, hold on. I have two questions. First one for Henry and more of the rhetorical variety. How the hell do you get your ego on that screen? Because I don't know. But Rebecca, back to you, and yes, the question of how did you work with him all in seriousness, but the other more important to me, I think, is like, much like we just asked Ben about how did he put his voice into it while it's Henry's photo or picture. How did you get your voice as the DP while still capturing what he wanted?
I think like the way that I approached it was really just kind of referring back to Henry every so often, being like, okay, so how does this look? Like, is this how you want it to look? Because I think it looks great, but if you don't like it, then we can change it. So a lot of it was just back and forth communication. Like the first for the flashback scene at the beginning where he like flicks the lighter, like that was my favorite shot. It was beautiful.
Oh, it was fantastic. Yeah,
it was beautiful,
and it was edited beautifully. I was like, yay!
In his eyes, when the flame comes up in his eyes, that was outstanding.
Gorgeous.
The best shot like that I think you got in the whole film, though, is when he's in the second shop and he's looking at the Emperor and you see his reflection in the plastic.
Yep.
That's
a good one. That's a good shot.
That is brilliant.
That was some demi shit.
Shot.
That was like Silence of the Lambs, Hannibal Lecter, Clarice Starling shit.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
it was great.
Beautiful.
Look, all joking aside, we actually are marveling Henry's talent. It's a really good film.
Yeah.
And everything. And we give him shit because this may be your episode. This is our fucking show. So we're allowed to give you some shit. But like, in all seriousness, like when we've worked with Henry, he's been nothing but accommodating.
Yeah.
Like, we bullshit, but like whenever CJ and I will run an idea by him, like with Batman Alone, very easygoing to be like, yeah, okay, that works. Like, it makes sense to me. Like, so
very
because it's never anything outrageous. If Ben said to me, "Yeah, we're going to do the whole thing like Memento. We're going to have it running backwards," I would just say to him, "No, that's ridiculous. That would never work in a million years." But he wasn't like that, and he knew. I knew he wouldn't be like that. I knew what to expect working with him. I just didn't expect him to get as stressed as he did. But I'm sure we'll get to that in a minute. But yeah.
Just he did what now?
Yeah,
I didn't hear.
I feel like you got really stressed.
He was having a heart attack. That's why he ripped it all out.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I'm genuinely going. I'm a guy that generally edits in short form, like 1 minute to 2 minutes. And it just trying to do something long form in bits was just nightmarish, if I'm being honest. It's horrifying.
And you broke up a little bit there, Ben, so I apologize, but so this is the longest thing you've worked on to this point, or am I misunderstanding?
No, yeah, that's right. So, like, I've done short films in the past, but I mostly do commercials and trailers and stuff like that. They're about 2 minutes long. So doing something that's 20 minutes long that I said I'd do as a favor, and I did it before reading the script. So I thought it was only going to be 5 minutes long.
No, you should have known my script by
this...
now, mate.
Okay, wait.
Oh God! And then
Ben,
yeah,
I can empathize in that we agreed to do Batman alone before we saw the script, and it's 80 pages. 80 pages of script. Yes, so I empathize, my friend. I do, because we had no clue what we were getting ourselves into.
And 40 pages of it was nothing but master dick.
It was great.
Oh, man. Although, we were talking earlier about Henry's, not just his direct style, but like when we were running things past him. Henry, one of my favorite moments from the bloopers reel, honestly, is when we're discussing the line we ultimately cut out about the Joker and Harley's, like, for lack of a better phrase, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
But
I remember that.
But
oh, God.
when I said that, because the way you wrote it, and I'm not criticizing your writing, but you wrote it, I guess for lack of a better phrase, very, very British, so I felt like it wouldn't have flowed well for anyone else listening, so I rewrote it a little bit. And I remember you, like, when we were discussing it, and Mark had asked that we take it out, there's this long pause, and you're like, it does paint a weird image. Like, but the way you said it was one of the funniest fucking things I've ever heard in that entire blooper reel. You know?
Even further, he said, that's something Jared Leto would say.
Yeah.
And then Mark was like, we don't need to hear Jared Leto because no one fucking likes Jared Leto except Jared Leto. And fuck Jared Leto because he's fucking Jared Leto. Like, or something.
No, I can recite it verbatim because that's the funniest fucking thing in the whole blooper reel is Mark's Jared Leto rant is the funniest fucking thing in the whole thing. That, and also I screwed up saying Superman and you're like, excuse me, who? But yeah.
Yes, I remember that.
Wait, just say Wayne Manor for me.
No, come on, Rebecca. I thought you were on my side. God damn it.
No. Rebecca, he could say Wayne. He just can't say Manor.
But it needs to come together, though. It might be easier that way.
CJ, here's the thing, dude. Like, we love you, but like, you could have re-edited. Like, I mean, you put it out there. You could have just dropped Wayne Manor from the bloopers reel forever, and you put it out there for us to make fun of you. I'm sorry.
Right, and okay, well, you know what? I'm kind of glad you said that because this leads to a more serious thing that I can go back to asking Ben about. Because, like, as the person who edits PodAskew, it would be unfair of me to just cut out all my mistakes so that I look perfect and left all your guys' stuff in there. I fucked up as much, if not more, than anybody during that whole goddamn recording. So it was only fair.
Spoke the most, so yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, regardless of how much dialogue or lines or whatever you want to say I had to do, there was, at the end of the day, it would have been unfair as the editor to not be fair to the source material and take that stuff out. Now, the blooper reel isn't the source material, but to getting back to Ben, like, you have to make those kinds of decisions when you're editing stuff like this, right? Like, you have to look at it and, like, obviously you're going to cut out just flat out fucking mistakes. I get that because so did I. I cut him out and just turned him into a blooper reel where I would love to see the outtakes for Chasing Leia if there are any, but shit.
Oh my god, yeah, me too.
Oh, I don't know about that, guys.
No.
They are then.
I
some
think
of the
they need.
outtakes are appalling. Like, not even in a funny way. Like, Who was the guy that was playing the high dude? He was like one of the
Haza?
Harry.
Yeah,
His
Haza, yeah.
acting is so bad that when we found a good take, that was it. I'm done. I don't want to touch that scene again. And you know what? Don't give me that face. You know
I'm going with no
I'm right.
comment on that one. Thank you, mate.
Good night, everybody. No.
You know,
Obviously. But Ben, you getting back to your thing about getting a good take, no matter who's doing it. Like,
Yeah.
trust me. Go back and listen. If you have not listened to PodAskew, first off, just because
Fuck
of your
you.
association with what? I missed that. What?
I was going to suggest promoting your podcast, Ben. I don't know if I'd try now if I were you.
Because he said, if you haven't listened to PodAskew, and then I jumped in and said, fuck you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that sounds about right. But
Sorry, buddy. Sorry.
no, it's all right.
It's fun. I'll cry about it later. It's fine. It's okay.
All you fucks with egos. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, right. But Ben,
All
if you haven't, just because of your association with Henry, I do recommend listening to the Batman Alone. But by default, you then also have to listen to our bloopers reel called Mastering Dick. And the point of bringing that up is like how many times it did take me to say Wayne Manor. Which there you go. Yes, thank you.
Well done.
Wait,
I'm
was
very
that?
proud of you.
Wait, say that again.
No.
What was that?
Not if you pay me. Not in a
What was
million years.
What,
No.
what accent was that?
There was no accent. I just said me.
Wayne Manor. Can
Yeah.
you say?
No.
Wait, one more time.
No.
One more time.
No.
Ben,
No,
don't push the luck, please.
We're
Listen.
friends now. Come on, one more time.
No. Nope.
Not when it's two editors trying to edit each other. So
Yeah.
you need to chill, dude.
There will be an
About all the
editing
episodes.
duel like nobody's fucking business. That's all I'm
Yeah,
saying.
You know what it'll be? It'll just be a stream of silence because
Yeah.
we both edit each other out.
But yeah, no, I get it. I get trying to find and even thank God we, like, all kidding aside, thank God we recorded the rehearsal because I ended up having to pull some of the material from there, you know. So I get trying to paste those pieces together. I wish I'd given myself more than 10 fucking days to do it, but that's, you know, another conversation.
Which is why, Henry, if you end up actually writing like Podfellas, you need to give it to us in advance.
Yeah. If we record something like that, we're recording it at least 3 months before it's due, because there's no way in hell I'm doing that again. So
Probably a good idea. I don't think
Yeah.
I'll ever give you anything quite as ambitious as Batman Alone, though. That was probably the
I don't think
biggest we've ever
anyone will ever give anyone a thing as ambitious as Batman Alone. That was the most ambitious thing that I've ever seen.
That was a 400 million budget. That would have been the highest gross. That would have been the highest. Budget.
It would have been it would have been
Henry.
All right, take
no.
take it easy,
It would.
I've
Quentin.
had
It would've-
7 years of this.
No.
Henry.
It would've-
It is
No.
400 million you'd need for that film.
It would have been the biggest budget in history and also the biggest bust because they would have never made the money back. Ever. So, moving on.
TJ, you want to stay?
Probably true.
TJ, I missed all that, but it's fine.
What?
You lagged on my end, but it's all right.
Well, I'm always lagging on your end. I don't. Don't look at me like that.
Interesting.
Drama.
Is that a sex thing?
No.
I
think that was the end of
Okay,
Honestly,
guys, if you're going to get into the sex stuff, I can leave and you guys can just
Hey,
do your thing.
you guys,
We can leave.
you
gonna
guys
be
were
left alone.
basically docking during the editing process. I don't even want to hear it with you two, so don't even start with me. Rebecca's like, what have I gotten myself into? Like, for real.
I'm thinking Rico's face is just like, I am so fucking done with this. Why?
No, that's just my face.
Yeah,
I
that's
just-
just,
okay.
yeah.
I have resting bitch voice and bitch face.
So,
Ah.
I always
I
sound
don't
like
even-
I always sound like I'm in a bad mood.
you are always in a bad mood.
Because I'm always talking to you, cocksmoker.
Is that even a word? Cocksmoker.
yeah,
Have you never seen Jay and Bob?
yeah,
Yeah,
right.
sure.
Like,
Oh, like what? Like once? Sorry. Oh, is this blasphemy?
how
Oh,
are
no.
you? How are you friends
You're
with
just
this
upset,
guy?
everybody.
Like,
Oh no!
really?
This is bad.
Hey.
I like. Yeah.
How
I've now been
you go
blacklisted.
edit-
I'm sorry.
How about you go edit yourself?
Rico, do you have something you want to ask them? Because I'm beyond lost right now.
No, dude, I'm here just to trash on Henry. But yeah, what's up, Ben?
Well, no, getting back to the matter at hand, that is the film. I think the beauty of me doing a film like this is with Henry, who personally is very close to the subject matter. I can come in with a completely outside perspective.
Yeah.
Perspective. That's the one.
Perspective. Yeah.
That's the one.
Wayne Manor.
So I can look at it.
Wayne Manor, motherfucker.
Wayne Manor. That's it.
There you
go. But I can see the things that are important and see the good takes, and because there are genuine takes that Henry loved, and we couldn't use them because they just didn't work in the flow of the cut.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's very true.
But I could do that because I wasn't close to any of the content.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's really important when you're going to something like this. Yeah.
You weren't close to the heroin?
Oh, stop.
Well, a little bit. That's like my day to day, though. That just gets me going.
That's what he wakes up with.
Is that why you sound so chill compared to everyone else?
No, he always sounds like that.
All right, I have a question for both of you, not Henry.
Go on.
Would you work with Henry again?
Yeah.
You are.
Well, I am.
That's the answer. You are. And so are you, Ben. We got so many things coming up.
Yeah, except this time you got to pay me, motherfucker.
So, Henry, I want to talk about that payment for Chasing Leia. So...
You could have the Jack Daniels I owe you. How's that for you?
No, you still owe me that. I want payment. Okay, I want those actual pounds.
What's he paid you?
We'll discuss that.
He paid me in a bottle of Jack Daniels. That was it. Did you not get paid?
I think I got a pizza.
Shut the fuck up.
You need more. Ask for more. We need some royalties for this at least. Get some points in.
Henry, see, this is what happens when you have an ego. Because if you have an ego and call yourself a Lucas and a Scorsese, your actors are going to start demanding fucking payment.
Oh, Rico.
When they turn in Mark Hamill performances, you got to question a few things. Whether they deserve
Did I get fucking paid?
Well,
no.
It was kind of a PodAskew production, so really, CJ should have paid you.
But here's the thing. No, we would have paid ourselves. But technically, I was this close to being in the fucking movie, and then that motherfucker popped me the fuck out.
Oh no!
Ben, over to you.
No,
hey, you know what?
No, that was you.
A strike on Henry right now. How about we all go on a strike and ask for payment and more from Henry? I feel like we should do this.
I think I just like a little bit more heads up when he wants me to do an Obi-Wan impression, and then decide that he wants me to do Alec Guinness. Oh no, wait! I want you to do Ewan McGregor now. Great, because I can fucking do a Scottish Ewan McGregor. When I tried doing McGregor, I fucking came out as Shrek.
Oh my god! Please try it.
Please do it. That sounds good.
Oh hey, what's going on, Donkey? What's going on?
Fucking love Shrek. It's a great film.
This my swamp.
Get out of me! Get out of my swamp!
Of course, I blame you for that. In many ways.
These are the joys you're looking for.
The fact that we couldn't use Rico's take.
But here's the thing: I was actually under the impression I was doing the Emperor because you said, "Oh, your Emperor's really good." That means you could do the Emperor, and then you want to say. Oh no, you're not doing the Emperor. You're doing the other dude that you kind of can't fucking do.
Yeah, but in my mind, Rico, you got to understand. In my mind, me and Ben went to the same university. We did the same course. We know about filmmaking. I thought I could just give him the takes, and he could just then edit it. He could just edit it. That's what you do. Just edit it and make it sound good. And he just went.
This is your ego again.
It doesn't work like that.
Yeah, this is your ego again.
But here, again, you gave me a day to fucking pull
the Emperor.
You gave me a day to pull a fucking Obi-Wan out of my ass, and it's just not fucking fun. You guys excited to see Star Wars?
Yeah, I have a feeling I might see it 4 or 3 times, but we'll see.
Yeah, just a bit.
All right, and
CJ, you look like you are about ready to have a conniption. You're good?
I'm good. I'm just trying to say that I'm trying to avoid the collateral damage it's about to hit. Jesus.
No. It's all good. I just, Henry, I'm more than happy to work with you and for you again. I just need a fucking heads up.
So did Ben. Ben, do you want to tell him that story?
Yeah. Let's hear another story of how Henry sucks. Let's go.
Wait, what are you doing?
These are my favorite stories. I love hearing these stories.
How many times throughout this process, when I was filming, did I send you something and then you said, right, where's this, where's that? And I said, no, you're not getting those.
Yeah,
and you said, no, it doesn't work like that. You said, I need those. I said, yeah, you don't. It's all right.
So angry. This is like the base of anything, and it's. I think it's just because I work with the team. I'm getting random footage with no explanation. I have to just find the scene for what it's for, and then I have to find the shots for what they're for. It was the most annoying puzzle of my life.
Yeah,
and
I remember Henry sending a message.
And then Henry just says, no, you'll figure it out. It's all good, right?
Well, no, that's when he then sends a message to me and the sound guy being like, so guys, by the way, you need to name everything because Ben's having a panic attack and he's freaking out and he's going to murder somebody. And
that was when I left the group message and I went private and I was like, right, okay, we need to have a private conversation. He's ready to hurt something.
Yeah.
Well, I can Ben.
That was again what Ben said there. That was very much my mentality. I would send him something, and he would say, "Right, where's the rest of it?" And I would say, "Oh no, you don't need the rest of it. It's fine. You don't need the rest of it. I just sent you the stuff that I want." And you said, "Yes, but I'm the editor. I need to see this sort of thing." I said, "No, you'll figure it out. It's okay."
You just gave him a fucking puzzle with a bunch of pieces missing.
Yeah. Literally.
Kind of like, I guess
he'll send me like a scene with missing shots. That was the most hurtful thing. He'll be like, we'll get that shot later. When I don't know what the pacing of it is then. Or you have like a conversation and you're meant to get two shots and he would just not get one other side of the shot. There's a whole scene in that first scene in the comic book thing where there's an actress that has a line and she's not even shot. She just says it off camera.
Oh my god, yeah, I remember that bit.
Yeah. How weird that is.
Yeah.
That is Henry's fault right there. That's all
Rebecca,
Henry.
You have no idea how happy you're making me and CJ right now.
No, don't drag me into this shit. Don't.
You're welcome.
I swear to God, in Podfellas, Rico's getting killed off in the first 5 pages. He's literally
5 pages
with the microphone in the first 5 pages.
I'm the guy in the trunk. That's who I am.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
I'm Billy Bats. Yeah. Well, here's the thing, Henry. If you give me a script where I die in the first 5 pages, we won't fucking record it.
Oh.
I've always thought of CJ as the leader, personally, but still.
Oh.
That's fine.
Drama between the two. Look, don't make him argue, Henry. Don't do it.
So that's the end of the PodAskew podcast.
All over again.
Okay, how about we all just calm down for a second, take a breath.
I'm calm!
You calm down!
I just sound like my dad. Dad, calm down. I'm calm! All right, Bob.
But no, going back to what Ben was saying about just not having any kind of coverage like that, I guess it goes back to that thing that Smith said about Mosier when they got the budget for Chasing Amy. When he said it was a $5 million budget film and he gave him $250,000. And all that Smith said was, yeah, it's okay. You'll figure it out. He was like, what the fuck do you mean we're going to figure it out? You can't make a film for $250,000. They said, yeah, we can. We made a film for $27,000. That's barely a movie, which is pretty much what this is.
Who knew that would be the least worst thing Harvey Weinstein did?
Oh, God. Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, fuck. Whoa. When you put it like that, Jesus.
Right? Like, we're like, oh, Harvey Weinstein fucked over Mosier and Smith. He's like, I'll give you $250,000. And Hollywood, he's like, you want $200,000? I'll give you $250,000. And we're like, oh, he's so generous. And Harvey's like, you sons of bitches.
Oh, God.
So, about the editing process.
That's me putting everything in perspective. You cock-smoking sons of bitches.
Good night, everybody.
Would you like anyone wants to talk about the movie?
Yeah, right?
Fuck you and your movie, buddy.
Oh my God.
I think we have to give Henry a little bit of credit here. This is quite literally, this is a guy with the world's biggest fucking ego. And
So doesn't he give himself all the credit all the time?
He literally
Basically.
does. But he basically went into shooting his first film outside of uni, and it worked. It was a cohesive story, and you make mistakes you learn as you're doing it.
Of
You know what I
course.
mean?
Although
Go on.
I would argue, Ben, that it was cohesive because you put it together as opposed to.
That was what I was about to say. That was the compliment I was about to give. The two people who saved this fucking movie were the DP and the editor. I mean, she shot a mess of Star Wars references, and I gave that mess, quite literally, to Ben, and he gave me back a movie. So, I mean, hats off to them, because Christ almighty, I looked at some of that footage back, and I was like, oh, who wrote all this fucking dialogue? It was just going on for so long. And gave it to Ben,
we can vouch for that. The dialogue, yeah.
Yeah, I like words. Words are good. And Ben doesn't like words at all. Ben likes visual. So, yeah, he literally gave me a movie. So, for that, mate, much love to you.
I give you all the praise. I mean, we're friends, which is why we get the opportunity and the privilege of shitting all over you, Henry. But
we were friends. I don't know about our. Word feels more appropriate at this point, but
I mean, you know, fuck you, CJ. We. No, the whole point is I'm trying to praise the motherfuckers. Like, when I saw the movie, I cried. Like, I missed it up, and I had, like, a heartfelt, I was rooting for the character, and that goes with the way it was shot, the way it was filmed, the dialogue.
Yeah.
I was laughing. My biggest complaint of the film is it's too fucking short.
yeah.
I want to see a full length fucking feature of this son of a bitch, so.
Yeah.
And Ben does know that there is a lot more out there. There is, I mean, I don't know if you've read it. I don't know if I've ever sent it to you, but there is a feature-length script out there. It's this is Billy's chapter of the story.
If you pay the motherfucker, then maybe he'll actually edit the damn thing and make a full-length feature.
Hey, the amount of times he wanted me as a producer to be on set to help out was disgusting.
Right. Yeah,
Well,
I know how to do this stuff. I haven't got a clue.
I was going to ask you, Ben. So
learn.
were you on set for any of this, or no?
No, so that I think that's probably one of the weirder things. Is this is the first time I'm actually meeting Rebecca, which is baffling if you're in a production team. Like, we've had 0 meetings. Like, there's just this ether of me complaining to someone, give me that fucking shot. Where's that fucking shot? Give me that shot. And
there's me just kind of being like, I'm sure I've sent it to you. I'm sure I've sent it.
So yeah, I wasn't a part of any of it. But as I say, I think that was a blessing just because I could be that outside perspective.
Right.
Yep, very much.
And it's interesting, just getting back to my original question to you a while ago, Ben, is like being the editor and the performer of this, there is that dynamic. Like, I'm actually curious now to hear what an episode of PodAskew cut by somebody else would sound like. You know what I mean? Like, that's just to see how different it would be. Like, I'm not saying Rico did something we would do permanently, but I'd be curious to hear what that would sound like.
If it was done by Henry, you wouldn't hear me at all.
You wouldn't hear either of us. It would be like overdubs of Henry just talking for 2 hours.
It would just be Manor on a fucking loop, and then it would be an intro of me saying, like, hi, I'm Rico. I'm going to do an Obi-Wan impression, and then just cut it the fuck out. Would you like to hear my Alec Guinness? Nothing.
What did I do? Do you remember the night we recorded that? I got so backwards and confused. I told you sounded like Alec McGuinness.
Yeah. and then Henry fucking cast, like, the voice of Obi-Wan was Alec McGuinness.
He did.
Alec
McGregor.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Terrible. Absolutely terrible.
No, it wasn't.
It was terrible.
That was a great idea. You know it.
I know one
you
thing.
have one good idea, if that, a year, maybe.
And he's always ripping off somebody else. So
exactly.
Yeah, basically.
Basically. I know two things to be very true about, or at least I guess it's one thing that's going to be very true about the next film. There will be zero mention of PodAskew anywhere in that film at this point.
No, there will. No, the hoodie's going to be.
No, after this interview, I'm pretty certain you've just deleted all that.
Oh no,
I'll
always.
Wait, you guys have merch?
Yeah.
Where's my free merch? What's happening?
Why are we?
What do you mean?
Why are we sending
free merch?
Hey, Ben, from the guy who asked Henry for a payday, the shirts are $15.99. That's all I'm saying. So
We don't.
How's that, Ben? I could pay you with a PodAskew hoodie. How's that for you?
Well, no, because you're already paying me with a bottle of Jack Daniels.
It's a
Wait, have
bonus.
you not paid him yet?
Well.
Hmm?
It's
What?
a
Has he, not,
bonus.
has he not given you the Jack Daniels yet?
He still hasn't, no.
Okay, well, Henry, I want you to give me a bottle of wine or something like that. Maybe 2.
No.
You can
Do
have
better than an expensive wine, though, like over
Yeah.
20 quid, like a good one.
Yeah, totally.
well, wait, but
Don't
then,
worry, Ben. You
wait,
can have one at some point.
if you're telling her now, see now you've jumped into my world. If you're asking her to get an expensive bottle of wine, why the fuck are you drinking Jack Daniels?
Okay, look, okay. It was the first thing he said. I don't know what his budget was. Okay,
Oh.
I'm gonna do it,
Nothing.
it's going to be like bullet whiskey. What do you mean, nothing?
Oh, I thought you meant the film. Sorry, my bad.
Oh.
Can I just ask, why the fuck are you guys asking for booze? Ask for money.
Because he's got a really good job. He makes more than anyone here. So
Ben, what do you do? I'm just curious. What do you do?
I'm a creative editor. I work at Universal.
Really?
Ben, are you looking for like film people to join your team? Because I need a job.
yeah, I've tried that, Beck. Don't bother.
God damn it.
Yeah, but he likes
We've got a
her.
camera coming up in South Africa. We can bring a couple runners, maybe.
See, but here's the difference. Ben likes her. That's why that will work.
He
So
loves me.
Oh, I fucking hate you. I loathe you.
We've got history, man. And
You're
you know
an
it.
arsehole.
This is why me and Ben will get on very well, because we both hate Henry.
No, we got good history. We had a great day in that cinema. Remember that? When you were all awkward watching Boogie Nights?
What cinema? Like we've watched like Fucking Boogie Nights. Oh,
Henry, you sound
no.
like the guy who was dumb trying to get his ex back. Like,
Right?
when we went and saw Boogie Nights, it was such a magical night.
he's just trying to slowly hold my hand, look
It
pierce
wasn't,
into
I
my
mean,
eyes.
You should have
All-
seen his face.
all I
Oh,
want to
it's
know.
not because-
So awkward.
It's because I
Ben
watched
did-
fucking porno. You gave me
It
no.
wasn't porn.
It literally, and there was a dick, like
Yeah.
30-foot dick in my face. Listen,
Well, that's
and you
not
gave me
Mark
no
Wahlberg's fault.
warning. You gave me no warning about this
I know, 'cause I
30-foot
want to
dick.
see your.
To be
I know, 'cause I want to see your reaction.
His erection?
I said react.
No, he wanted to see my erection. He wanted to see it.
To
We're
be
in a
fair,
theater.
you see the donkey dick at the very end of the film, so you like
Ugh.
it shouldn't have been a big surprise.
It was just there though. It was like the whole film had finished. We could have done the entire film without ever seeing it, and then they just did a big fucking shot of it.
Well,
All right,
they've
Mr.
been
Editor,
talking
would you
about
have
it.
edited that out?
Just cut the dick. I don't need
Yeah.
the dick.
Just
No,
circumcise
don't cut the
Yeah.
dick. Don't ever cut the dick. Don't do that. That
Okay,
hurts.
we're like tear
That
it
needs
off?
to be a vox
No,
pop.
that's wait, what?
You know what? I'm
Don't
telling you
cut
right now.
the
Then
dick.
I have to just warn you in advance. Throughout the year, while I edit PodAskew, I do compile a bloopers reel that we play back every New Year's Eve. I'm telling you right now, 30-foot dick in my face will be part of that blooper reel. There's no way that can't be.
Oh, God.
I look forward to the blooper reel for the end of this year already.
Yeah, it's only 3 minutes long, but it's worth it.
and it's full of 30-foot dicks.
That's how I like my dick. I mean, what? Huh?
Yeah, but then you'd cut it off, you fucking Lorena Bobbitt motherfucker.
Yeah, I'll do it like 127 hours with a blunt knife and just really, really get in there. Just
This is gonna be the plot of Pod fellas. Just so you know.
Oh, Lord.
oh lord.
Ben,
What?
Ben,
Oh, Lord.
Ben, please don't ever change your profession and become a moil. I'm just asking. Please don't. Just the Jewish community would really appreciate it. I'm just saying.
Are you sure? I could get into that. Maybe that's a business venture.
I think. I don't know.
Do you know anyone that I might be able to help out? Or
Oh, you stay the fuck away from my Jewish nephews.
whoa. Oh dear.
Can we, CJ? Can we fucking end this goddamn good time, please?